Welcome to The Sound, KQAL FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Midwestern-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Midwestern artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling.
Waited all year, but it's finally the weekend.
Tonight on The Sound, we bring you Oof and their self-titled debut. Out now on Winona's own Ouids Records. Oof is Tyler Steinley, founder of Ouids Records and drummer extraordinaire for Sleeping Jesus, Afflatus and Swashbuckler. A staple and a force in the Winona music scene, Tyler's, or Oof's, story is a familiar one as of late. When COVID-19 quarantines hit, other music projects slowed down and Oof was born. Oof is made up of 6 tracks that take you on a delightful romp through some cool grooves, electro-pop, and lo-fi indie sounds. Ufda. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and this is no goof. Stick around for some great tunes and conversation from Oof. Tonight on The Sound.
Feel better if only I took some time to work it out.
That was Oof Intro by Oof from right here in Winona, Minnesota. And Oof is actually Tyler Steinley, who many of you may know as the drummer for Winona bands Sleeping Jesus and Afflatus, as well as the founder of Ouids Records here in Winona. And Tyler, I'm sure I'm missing other people you play with too.
Swashbuckler.
Swashbuckler,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a more recent thing, though.
Yeah, so... Wow, busy guy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man.
Cool.
You know, lots of stuff like we were talking about earlier. A lot of projects, including this EP, are reaching the final stages. So it's like the end of a musical chapter. So it feels nice.
Right. Well, before we turn the mics on, you were kind of talking about that because. Well, you have this EP, just self-titled, Oof. It came out February 4th, and then there was another. You dropped some other stuff on Bandcamp on the just recently, February 25th, and you were kind of explaining to me that was just beats and stuff.
Yep.
And, you know, you're just getting stuff out there. So how'd this come together? How did Oof, what did it evolve out of? Because I know you're very busy in, we mentioned bands you played drums with, Ouids Records, so you're recording other people, releasing other people, promoting other people. Yeah. How'd you find time to do Oof? And is that where the name comes from? Oof.
No, I don't even remember where it came from, but I just thought it was short and simple, and it's like a very distinct sound,
right?
You know?
Yeah,
totally. So that's kind of why I went with it. But honestly, I know this is a tale as old as time now, but COVID, because I was unemployed,
right?
It was lockdown, and then I have a cousin who I'm very close with that I kind of did a bunch of music stuff with throughout college. He lived in Minneapolis though, and he actually moved to Norway during everything to be with his partner, and so he had a bunch of recording equipment he couldn't take with him,
right?
So he gave it all to me, and then I had time, and I've been inspired because by this time we were in the thick of recording the Sleeping Jesus album, and I just thought it was really inspiring because I always messed around, but I never did anything seriously as far as learning it and stuff. And then I saw our producer Mike doing stuff that just blew me away, and then Nick is a creative genius, and everyone in that band, it just knows a bunch of stuff, and so watching that and absorbing it, I was I want to be part of this, and so I literally just watched YouTube for nonstop, learning a bunch of stuff, recording a bunch of stuff.
Cool.
And then I just kept building and building, and then the EP itself is I have never been a very confident songwriter or vocalist, so that's a lot of auto-tune, straight up.
Yeah.
But And so, but then as I got to a point with producing, I was like, I would send songs to people and try to collaborate with friends. But then I was just like, man, I just like kind of want to try stuff. And then some of them turned out pretty cool, I thought. And so then I still only once in a while do it. I'm definitely still a producer first, I would say. But it's like if I feel inspired or like a melody pops up and it fits on the song, then it's like, okay, then I run with it. And then that's why that's actually a collection of a bunch of songs that I put out on SoundCloud and just like put out maybe one every 3 months over the past year. And then I just kind of took a step back and I was like, oh, I could make one more, which is the one that I made with Doug Boodle, Cashier.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was like, and then this is like a little project. So then it just kind of came out of nowhere. I remixed them because there was some things as my knowledge increased that I like didn't like. So I went back and tweaked them, but not too much because then I would have just kind of went crazy. So I kind of left them where they were.
Yeah, you can go down rabbit holes and be mixing and remixing for years.
Yeah. And then that's just kind of where it came from. So the project, and I like started thinking about it maybe at the end of 2021.
Okay.
And then Cashier actually was finished because me and Dante were sending stuff back and forth. And it all kind of just so happened that it was like, basically I finished it the day before my birthday, which is January 4th. So I was like, oh, cool. Well, 26 is a big, time of change or whatever. And so I'm like, well, cool. I just did this thing out of nowhere. So I'm going to put it out a month later and then just keep doing stuff.
Nice. Very nice. So like when you acquired that recording gear, did that play into like, what was the timing here with like Ouids Records too? Like, is that where that was kind of born out of, this interest of recording? Or?
Ouids started a year before that, just because that was something I always wanted to do. And like I helped with some other different music companies in college get started up and stuff, but it nothing turned out to be the exact thing that I wanted to provide, I suppose, which is what I do with the label, is just like promote and push stuff. And so that's what that came out. That came out in summer 2019.
Right.
Is when we started. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So maybe we should get back to some music. Let's play some more music for folks so they can hear like kind of more what we're talking about here. Just for everyone out there, I'm talking to Tyler Steinley right now. We're talking about his new solo effort called Oof. So this next tune here is a tune called ETC, or is it etc.?
It's etc.
Okay, cool. Well, this next one is called etc. It's from Oof, and we'll be right back after this with Tyler Steinley of Oof, and here it is, etc. Right here on the Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
I'm running on low, the ceiling blocks all my empathy. Made of glass, but they still flip the bird at me. The more you catch what meets the eye, they only want to criticize. 12 hours alone with one road ahead of me. Not thinking much anymore gives me anxiety. Only straight ahead, making up what I'm seeing. I never look both ways, that's why I'm not believing. I don't know what I want to find out between the dotted lines. I don't wanna wait, anticipate what isn't coming yet. Sometimes I feel what isn't real, my dreams are counterfeit. I'm feeling like I might burn out, doing all I can to come back around. I won't fade away, another day is what I always said. Saying what I mean and what you need and not pretend. Doing all I can to make it sound again, etc. I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't have a thing to say. I've got nothing. Waiting for the sun to rise and it's leaking. Motion of the water keeps me up when me sleeping. The cars are facing backwards, no surprises, and we're peaking.
That was etc. That's from the debut EP from Oof, which is Tyler Steinley, and I have Tyler in the studio with me today. So Tyler, between this EP and then all the beats that you've dropped online and everything, that's a lot of tunes.
Yeah.
And we were talking about kind of how Oof evolved and came out. Like, how do you go about creating,
Yeah.
Like your writing process? Do you is it just like a melody that you start with, or lyrics, or how does it start for you? What's the seed?
Yeah. So I kind of got good at like realize, being aware of like when I'm feeling creative and when I'm not. So that's a big first step, because I would always like kind of, especially at the beginning of lockdown, I had nothing but time. If I had a day where I didn't do anything, I would like feel weird and guilty. And then I got to a point where I was just like, no, like just when I want to. So that was a big first step. So first of all, it's like, I got to be in that mindset, which is still pretty often, like I'm working on stuff. And then I usually just sit down. I'm always online, like I follow producers on Instagram and stuff that make like beat videos. So that's where a lot of inspiration came from too. And sometimes they put out beat packs. So then I get those, and like something in there might inspire me. So then I build a beat, or maybe I feel like recording my live drums and making a drum break. And then I find inspiration first, which often comes from samples or beats. Those are kind of like drum breaks. And then from there, melody I'm horrible with. Like a lot of my melodies are just samples, which I've gotten better at. Not just like taking the sample and putting it in the song and then studying it. Like I've been messing with flipping it, so to say, I suppose. Like just like building stuff off of it in a more interesting way. So that's kind of where a lot of melodies come from. But specifically Bender, which we'll get to on the EP, that one I was excited about because the drum break is a sample, but the rest of that is all me playing. So that was the intent of that beat. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool beat. And then I made the song.
Cool. So did you, well, we'll get to that song later. We'll talk about that song specifically. But so when you start, writing the tune, is it all part of the recording process too? Do you do it all at once, or do you kind of like sketch it out and write it and then be like, all right, now I'm going to lay it down?
Beat first. And then but everything in the building of the beat, unless I like found a chord progression when I was just messing around on a keyboard or something, it's always like in the process. Like I don't have really any ideas before. It's just kind of in the moment.
Cool. So so you're really utilizing like the studio itself as like an instrument, right?
Yep. And I have a good setup where I can like record my drums and stuff. So it's like I have a bass guitar.
Awesome.
And then for samples, splice.com. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's huge for producers right now. It's awesome. It's like a subscription. $8 a month, and then it's a huge library of royalty-free samples.
Oh, nice!
And some like really big names and producers put their stuff on there for people to just use. So that's, music for me has always been like, hence the beat tape too, is just like for sharing and inspiration and stuff. And so Splice is a huge community in itself, and that's where I go for a lot of samples. Sometimes, if I'm feeling creative but don't know where to start, I just go through packs there until I find something interesting.
Right. Cool. So, like, I'm hearing a lot about beats. Like, that's like kind of the core of where it all comes from. And it makes sense because you also play drums, What is it like, though, doing something like a solo project where it's, it's you're the main force behind it, as opposed to like, playing with a band in the studio or writing or something? Like, is it a lot different for you this way?
Definitely. It feels entirely different just because it's very self-motivated. And so like that EP, like full-fledged songs with vocals and everything, like those are kind of rare. Because I'm just like, it's when I feel like I can add that extra step, the vocals in particular. And so, but then there's no pressure, like, I don't know, like I have a bunch of beats set aside for maybe more oof stuff, but I've been trying to write over them, but nothing's really stuck yet. So it's kind of like, well, I just got these beats I'm sitting on, and like if I think of something or hear something, and I'm still making more beats. So
right. It's good to collect that stuff, right? And have a whole bag of like tricks, so to say, you know. I mean, because I know a lot of people who will be writing and they'll be halfway through something, or or trying to lay it down on tape. I'm doing air quotes, but and then they'll be like, oh, I don't like this idea. I've kind of wrecked it. They kind of wreck it in their head and it's done. It's like, well, no, you had a good nugget there. Maybe just save it. Something
I do that sometimes where I just find a part, or I like strip away everything except one part that developed that was kind of cool. But I also do sometimes just ditch them.
Scrap it. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to, but you never know. Someday that little piece of that might be like, ooh, that fits perfect right here.
Exactly. And that has happened a couple times with the few like things that I've built up.
That feels good, doesn't it? Isn't that a great feeling? It's
definitely.
Like, it's like you like you found your car keys, like there was something missing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I found the missing piece, the missing link. You know, like you want to call everyone and be like, dude, I found it. I got it.
Exactly.
It's great. What about like lyrically and thematically? Like when you do add a melody and sing over it, like where do you draw inspiration for that?
Just experiences, I
Okay.
suppose. Like I
Right.
try not to be too literal, but a lot of them do end up being, I guess in my mind, because I know what they're about, they seem literal, but maybe
Right.
they aren't. So just like what I'm feeling at the time, and for all of them except for Cashier, I just made the beat and then I sent it to Dante, and he did his verse and the chorus, which then set the theme.
Okay,
You know,
right.
And then I was like, oh, well, I was just writing this thing in my notebook that actually kind of fit really well, and then that's where my
Ooh.
verse came from. Like I wasn't even originally going to be on that song. That was just
Oh,
going to be
wow.
a Doug Boodle with someone else, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Because I do still send stuff to, on Instagram and in person, like, have just, like, met some people who sing or rap and stuff. And, like,
Right.
specifically, there's a cool crew in La Crosse, the Lavender Project. A lot of them, they were
Ooh,
at No
yeah,
Name just this
yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
There's Jet Hertz and Fernando. And Kyle, one more young, and those three I talk a lot and kind of send ideas back. And
Nice.
actually, I might. It's not going to be like anything special because it'll be just on SoundCloud. I mean, it will
Okay.
be special because it'll
Right.
be cool. But I do, hopefully around that time this premieres, there should be a song with Fernando
Oh,
out
sweet.
because I'm working on the video sometime this week.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Awesome
So just once in a while,
videos,
there's
too.
like one off. Yeah, because
Nice.
that's another part of it is I just felt like, especially when I was mainly focusing and still am, but mainly doing instrumentals. It's like I want people to listen to it, but especially with me, like if there's something with it, like whether a cool visual that doesn't need to be an engaging story, but just something happening.
Yeah,
Or like I've made a few and I really enjoy people like the physical process of making a beat, like they film themselves building it up and stuff.
Oh,
and
nice.
That's really cool too. So
That sounds interesting.
so that's
I like
why
that.
I like Instagram, because it's just like here's my beats, but then here's something to look
Right,
at
right,
until I
right.
listen to them.
Well, what a great way to collaborate too. You know, I mean, we have so many tools today.
Yeah.
Ways to share like that where you can. You could send something off to someone and you get home later that night, bam, and they've sent back another
Yeah.
idea. And it's like,
Totally.
wow, it's kind of mind blowing for someone my age.
Yeah. Totally. And like remote stuff is huge. Like I
Yeah.
recorded drums for an album called Going Places by Dozens of Cousins. I don't know if I
Okay.
sent you that, but I
I
should.
don't think so, yeah.
He's a friend of mine from college that now lives in the cities, and he just
Okay.
sent me stuff, and I would record drums
Nice.
at my house as I was learning.
Uh-huh.
So that one's fun because there's all the drums sound different because I was at different points of understanding like how to record them,
Right.
and then sent them back, and just that was my first time doing that, and seeing the finished product was like crazy, because
Cool.
I'm also just starting to collaborate that way, so
Right,
it's really
right.
crazy to see.
It's super exciting when you learn, new stuff, like, like before we turned the mics on, I was telling you how I'm kind of learning to play drums,
Yeah.
so it's such a fantastic process, especially when you're familiar with that from a different angle.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
being I used to play bass a lot, so it's like, I'm in the rhythm section, but I'm not back there banging on those. I don't know what
Yeah.
that feels like, so
Totally.
it's cool to see the other perspective. I think it makes the whole thing kind of come together in your head, like, oh, this is how it fits together.
Yeah, totally.
So let's get back into another tune, because I was going to ask you about writing partners, but you kind of addressed that already.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
awesome. I am here talking to Tyler Steinley tonight. He is the force behind Oof, which is a new project from right here in Winona. And Tyler, you might know him from many other bands in the area. I'm not going to list them all because that would take too long. So we'll be back to talk to Tyler some more after this, but here's a tune off of his debut EP. This is one called Infinity Symbol, and you're listening to it on The Sound right here on 89.5 KQAL.
I don't wanna feel so numb again when I'm sitting here with all my friends. The calming presence is still removed. When have I ever left this room? This can't wait till the morning. We're in conversation, your mind's on vacation. Growth is what you call it, we're still changing. Need group participation, not just mediation. When I'm flying high, I look down at the stars. I never thought that we'd get this far. For the longest time, you were further than infinity, tracing all the roots
That's Infinity Symbol off of the Oof EP from Oof, from right here in Winona, Minnesota. And Oof is actually Tyler Steinley, and Tyler's in the studio with us tonight. So Tyler, we talked about a little bit about the, how you record and stuff, and you kind of alluded to this, like, when you were learning how to record drums and stuff like that. Can you kind of describe that journey for me? Because that's something I think just personally I'm really interested in that, And I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that, what can maybe just tell us about your miking setup or how you, how you approach laying drums down, basically.
Yeah. Well, originally, because I've been just messing around with recording since like high school. I didn't take it seriously until like 2020, but just messing around. And so I always did just like kick, snare, and one overhead or maybe two if I had them available. And that's actually what I did when I started doing that. And funny enough, going back to the intro song, I put that on there because that's the very first thing I recorded when I got that equipment.
Cool.
The equipment was just a 2-channel mixer that also recorded, but it only output in one channel. Okay. So it's like, so it was very difficult, but that's what I started learning on. So those drums were just a single overhead.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So that's how it started. But now through experimenting, and my roommate Connor, who plays in Swashbuckler with me, has also gotten super in, like at the same time we kind of learned, and he's much more of a engineer. I don't know. He's into the mic placements and doing stuff like that, where I'm like, if it sounds good, like I can mix it,
He's the one worrying about phase cancellation and stuff. Yeah.
And so it works well when we like work on stuff, because then, we each have some know-how. But he experimented a lot with drum setup, and then we kind of figured out the current one, which is still kick, snare, and one overhead. But then for a second overhead, we have one that I have a condenser mic that has 3 settings, and one is, it's actually like these mics. I guess you can't see it if you're listening.
It's like
but
a figure 8 or
you can go out to both sides. And so we put that just above the bass drum, kind of by the toms.
Ooh,
and it gets a lot of the toms. It gets a lot of everything. So it's like another kind of room mic almost. Right. But it's really close. And so I'm getting some good sounding drums from that.
Awesome. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I just find that stuff fascinating, you know.
Thanks for
because
letting me
I
nerd
think
out
like
about
yourself. It. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in so I can nerd out about it, I mean, I think I have a similar experience to you in that, I'm around this stuff constantly. I mean, this is kind of what I've chosen as a career, only my career is in broadcasting, and the software, the hardware, including microphones, everything is slightly different than what you would do in music production. So it's so close, but yet there's differences, you know? And I think it's kind of fun to figure that out and
Totally.
Oh, wait, now, okay. And then things start to click in your head from your personal experience to the new things you're learning, and you're like, oh, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. Why didn't I see it? But, so how about the instrumentation? Because I know. Well, first of all, I got a question about that.
Yeah.
Drums, Is it all live drums, or is there lots of? Because you said you started with beats a lot of times.
Yeah.
Is there a good mix? How do you?
It's a good mix.
Okay.
So intro has live drums, etc., Infinity Symbol, and Bender all have drum loops that I found, and adjusted the speed or whatever to fit, but definitely just built off of those. Man, that got me thinking. Cashier, that one has a break from The Count, which is one of my favorite producers. He sells a bunch of packs, and he's the one who makes beat videos. So
cool.
That one was built because I bought one of his packs, and I thought that loop was super cool. And then the outro, I've been thinking, has me live drumming, but it's on a MIDI pad.
Oh, cool.
Because I have a MIDI pad. And that's actually how I now prefer if I'm doing beats. And oftentimes when I find drum loops is I still add some percussive elements and stuff.
Right.
And so how I've been doing that is I try the finger drums because I have a finger pad, but it's just not. And so I have one that I can physically hit with sticks like a drum set, and since that's what I'm used to. So that's what I've been doing. So that's why that one also sounds really wonky, because it's not. That was kind of the point, is it's not quantized, it's not on the beat, so it's supposed to sound kind of off a little bit. So that was very deliberate, and that came from me live playing the pads. E drums. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. Huh. We're going to have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in the pads. But what about like other instruments, you know, when you bring those in? Like, is there a lot of samples? Like, how are you creating the sounds?
A mix of samples, and then I do still like to play some parts melodically, and then I just like use arpeggiators or something like that to make it more interesting, because I definitely am a more, as we've kind of talked, more rhythmically focused, especially with building these. So I try to find a good pocket or groove, and then that's kind of what does it for me, you know?
Yep.
And,
build everything into that, right?
Yeah. So it's a good mix. I use some plugins that have replications, I suppose, of like analog synths and stuff. Arturia, their analog collection. I use that a lot.
Nice.
And so a lot of the weird, and basically my goal with Oof and just my own sound is to make, because I've gotten really into pop music over the past few years, because there's some really good stuff.
There
and like
is,
I don't
isn't
know, I was just kind of a prick and didn't want to, like, I turned up my nose, and then I just got over it. And there's like awesome, there's really cool stuff.
Right.
And so I've been really inspired by that. And so what I like to do is make it catchy, like still, but like also find ways to basically, like, if someone were to hear a sound, like, be like, what is that? Like, I have no idea. Like the noise at the end of Infinity Symbol is, and there's some like field recording, because that one is a sample of, I worked at Prairie Moon Nursery over the summer, and we were working with PVC pipe, and one of my coworkers was just blowing into PVC pipe.
Right.
And so I like recorded it, and then I pitched it to the pitch, and just like did a bunch of crazy stuff to it. So that kind of like horn in the last chorus of that is just a dude blowing into a PVC pipe.
What did you record it on your phone?
Yeah, my phone.
Nice.
My phone.
Nice. I was going to ask you about that too, if you've gotten into sampling sounds.
Yep, I have a Zoom recorder that I've been trying to utilize more, and I recently got a pocket operator, which is like,
what's that?
They have a bunch of different kinds, but the one I got, it's basically like a mini drum machine. It's smaller than my cell phone.
Cool.
And it also, you can record onto it. So it's like, it's basically just
like
a mini
little
sampler that fits in my pocket. And so what I've been doing, that's been a great inspiration too.
Is that a sampler in your pocket?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, I just make little beats on there that aren't beats in their entirety, just because the setup is so simple, but they're cool ideas. And then I've often, especially in some of the newer stuff since I've gotten it, I just like pull those little bits, and then I build off of the beats that I built on that.
Right. Oh, fun. That's something I'd like to get into someday, is sampling. I just think that's fantastic.
It's tricky to like, I try sampling songs like off YouTube, and you know, finding just obscure records on weird YouTube channels and stuff, but that's something I haven't been able to do very successfully, just because, I mean, like, you can't always, there are programs to separate the noises in the tracks, but then they sound pretty bad, and like, I can't figure out, just because I'm not, like I said, very melodically sound, I have a hard time making them mesh with the rest of the song. So everything I sample, unless it's a melody off Splice that it tells you the exact key it's in and whatever, is a lot of the found sound, so to speak, from other stuff is often like drum breaks and stuff like that I hear. Like, I made one off in a slowed down version of Intro to a Dolly Parton song. Like, he does like a crazy intro fill, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So then I ripped it, and
it's amazing, you know, you find stuff everywhere. You know, inspiration is everywhere. The next tune that we're gonna play is and now you might have to help me how to pronounce this. Is it Bender?
Bender. Okay, it's about going on a bender.
Yeah. That's what I thought, you know, lyrically and everything, but you know, I'm not the best at words without vowels. It's
an artistic choice.
Right. Yeah, totally. But speaking of that, like, so I'm going to calm myself down a little bit here. Yeah. This is exciting for me. I really dig.
I really appreciate that. No, it's fun. I love digging in like this. I don't have the opportunity unless it's friends who are like, just shut up already, man. Not that anyone actually does, but I talk a lot about it with my.
It feels like that
friends.
Sometimes, right? Yeah. What about, like, I know you mentioned earlier that you use auto-tune a lot, you know?
Because I cannot sing.
Well, I was thinking it was more of an artistic choice.
It also is. With the weird and catchy. That's why it works well. It's like
Right.
well, I can't sing, but I can make my voice sound gnarly, and that's
Right.
kind of the point.
Right.
Although I will give myself a little credit where credit's due, because Cashier, my verse first, not the singing part that has auto-tune, but the verse first, that's very little auto-tune, because I've been
Nice.
working on trying to use it more artistically instead of out of necessity.
Right, for sure. So how about like how do you get inspired with sound? You know what I mean? Like when you're, you know, you talked about recording your coworker blowing into a PVC pipe. You know, like what else? You know, when you're walking on the street, is it like, do you just hear stuff and be like, ooh, I gotta walk across the street and go record that, you know? Or
yes, but one thing I'm working on is actually the follow through of then recording it. Because I mean, even though it's on my phone, like there's so many times I go, oh, that sounds super cool, and then I just don't. So it's like a habit, just like anything else, being like willing. So I'm going on a trip up north to Duluth over my spring break. I work at a school, and like I'm planning on bringing the field recorder and seeing if I can get some interesting stuff.
Right. Oh, I love it. Maybe we should check Bender out then.
Yeah.
Let's just check it out, and we'll come back and talk some more about it. I am in the studio with Tyler Steinley tonight. He just released a solo effort called Oof, and we're checking it out right now and breaking it down and talking about it with you. So this one is called Bender, BNDR, from Oof, and you're hearing it on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Waited all year, but it's finally the weekend. Slept all day, but still I got my eyes red. Through the haze, my focus getting cleaner. Vibing so loud, might get a misdemeanor. Still putting hours in, feelings fade, and I don't know where I am. I woke up on the floor of your bedroom, stumbled out the door, no I'm late, but I can't remember more. Going through my texts for a rescue. I've been feeling weird lately, and I've been procrastinating, getting my shit together. I could feel better if only I took some time to work it out. This isn't my first rodeo, and I'm always the clown. I listen to the radio and start to slow down. The feeling in my bones is that I should have skipped town, but one more talk will bring me back around. Waited all year, but it's finally the weekend. Slept all day, but still I got my eyes red. Through the haze, my focus getting cleaner. Vibing so loud, might get a misdemeanor. Still putting hours in, feelings fade, and I don't know where I am. I woke up on the floor.
That was Bender, and that's a track from the latest release from Oof. It's actually the debut release, and Oof is Tyler Steinley, and we have Tyler in the studio with us tonight. So Bender, you know, we touched a little bit about writing earlier on, and you mentioned how, you know, usually it's the beat basically that inspires you, you know, rhythm, things like that. This one struck me lyrically, you know. So do you draw from like real experiences, or do you like kind of draw from real experience and then just expand upon it? Like, are things, I guess what I'm trying to say, do you write true stories or fiction, or is it a kind of a mesh?
Definitely a mix, where it's like the basic concepts and ideas are definitely rooted in my life, but then, you know, I expand upon them and like, you know, just using different language and stuff like that, and maybe, you know, attempting to be maybe a little less literal, because but that one in particular was definitely written after a bender. I went to Minneapolis to hang out with the Sleepy J guys, and we went to a bunch of shows because a bunch of our friends were playing, so it was just like, and then I came back and worked at No Name, but also, you know, had a few beers while I was working at
Right.
a crazy rock show. So it was like, I don't know, man, I'm not in college anymore. 3 days and I'm like,
That's a long,
that's a
long stint.
yeah. And so, and then, you know, some aspects and some lyrical stuff definitely draws from other, I don't know, instances of
Right.
similar feelings, but
Right.
that was the catalyst of being like, oh, you know, some of those lines popped in my head as I was driving home from Minneapolis and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, he's in my head because I just saw his name here on my notes because I want to touch on something. But Austin from Dury.
Oh,
Dury,
yeah.
he was telling me that he writes in the car all the time. So
Oh,
that kind of reminded me of that. And do you ever, like, when you're getting ideas in the car coming home, do you pull over and write them down, or do you like whip out your phone and record it? Or
That's
like...
another follow through thing that I need to work on. Yeah, and so, you know, both my, you know, this is a good catalyst because I'll actually start doing these things because
Right.
sometimes I do when I can remember to, and I like try. Especially recently, I've been trying to like write before bed and stuff like that. But a lot of times, no. Sometimes I just remember it, like it's in my brain so much,
Right.
and then maybe that's why I want to write a song using it, is because I just think these things so much. But I don't know. I was thinking about that actually on my way here, because I remember going to sleep last night and thinking something, being like, "Oh, that's a good line. I'll do it in the morning." And now it's obviously
And
like
then it's
just
gone.
Yeah. So
You know, I used to look at that like, you know, if it's stuck in my head enough, then that idea must have been worthwhile.
Yeah.
And then the other ones that I forgot, well, maybe they weren't as good. But I don't know because I can't remember them. And now I use my phone. So, like, and I usually start with melody. So, like, if something comes out, I put it on my phone and I can remember exactly how it went. Whereas, like, in the past, like 20 years ago, I'd have an idea. I'd write it down on paper. I come back to it the next day and I'm like, that looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't remember how the melody went at all. Like, that's dumb, you know? And now it's like, ooh, with the phone, I can record it and bam, I've got the exact idea I had down, you know?
That's, I guess, kind of with that, just because I approach rhythmically, that I guess I just like write, because I don't know, like poems themselves kind of have rhythm. And so I just kind of write. Very rarely do I write for a song. I just like write, and then like I have a notebook, and then I go back. So like this week when I was trying to write stuff, and I mean sometimes I sit down in front of my monitors with the beat going and write, but then it's definitely rhythmically, and that's why I like auto tune, because it gives me a tool to find the melody, because I can just like and then it like I'll eventually do something kind of cool and catchy, and so that's definitely a tool. But yeah.
It's interesting. It's. I just find it interesting how things have progressed like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and the reason I had Austin down here in my notes is because I know they just released an EP on cassette.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think last month. But physical releases. Are you going to do any physical releases of Oof or?
Probably not.
Okay.
For Oof, just because much like Weeds, it's just kind of like when stuff is going on,
right.
I'll push it. You know, like I don't feel a need for content or to make my next album like super immediately. It's just kind of as it comes. And so with that, it's kind of like low key. If I ever did a full album or something, it might be cool down the road, but there's no plans now for that.
Okay. Just kind of pure art, right? Like when it strikes you, you know, go for it. Very cool. What do you think, you know, especially since you do Ouids Records, like what do you think of physical releases these days, you know?
Oh, I like them, and I definitely think that cassettes are cool because they're cheap to make.
Right.
They're cheap to buy. They still have the physical thing. It's actually kind of coming back. I guess tape players are hard to find. I haven't really tried because I just, you know, download or stream. But the only one I'm always tentative about and have yet to do is vinyl, just because it's super expensive, and you know, like I've learned recently like how much of a carbon footprint vinyl records make. It's like really bad, and then you see artists like Adele literally destroying the supply chain to get like 30 million vinyl records made. I was also thinking about that recently, where I don't know, no hate on Adele as a person, but whoever's running her business, that was kind of a
I'm
low
not,
blow.
I'm not
like,
familiar with what happened.
yeah,
but
indie labels are now are like, so some of them are like a year behind on getting their vinyl shipments.
Really?
Just
Because
all of the
ordered
resources
so
were going to the Adele album.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, maybe we'll have to make hemp records or something.
Oh, that would be cool.
You know.
There are one of the coolest things I've seen recently, and I have one. It's of Sweet and Lonely. So Nick, Sleepy J, Nick's solo thing. Mm-hmm. He gave us these. He works a lot with this company out of Austin called Burp FM.
Okay.
Which they're super cool. They do like monthly Spotify playlists and stuff, and they're just a cool company to follow. But they do a monthly record club. But what it is it's a single printed on a postcard. So they mail you a postcard, and then it has the plastic vinyl in there, which he actually made a video, the creator of the postcards. And for really big batches, he like goes through some company or does a machine or something. But the rest of them, like the Sweet and Lonely ones that were like a very limited run, he does all of them by hand.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a postcard that you just put on, and then it goes. Wow. But it is really funny because it like is supposed to, because it's a single and a smaller record. Like, I'm not too familiar, but I know you switch the speed for the singles,
right.
And everyone has it at the wrong one, so Nick is tagged in all these like stories of people being like, love the new single from Sweet and Lonely, and it's him like in a chipmunk voice.
Wow.
But everyone's still like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. See, I remember well, back when I was young, back when I was a teenager, my only source of information from this stuff was magazines, and I can remember like Guitar Player magazine or Guitar World, and there would be little records in there, like the little flexible plastic little pages, and you'd rip them out and throw them on the turntable.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, nice.
I saw a video of him having one of those. I think that kind of stuff is sweet. He's really good at like producing some unique merch.
Oh, he's killing it, man.
So that's really cool. Speaking of which, this next tune actually touches on a few things. Cashier here. So this features Doug Boodle.
Yep.
Right. So we have a collaboration going on. That, you were talking about sending this one to Dante and stuff. Yep. It also, the sound of it reminds me of Nick and the Sweet and Lonely stuff.
Oh, nice.
There's like I don't know. There's some sort of retro thing happening here.
Yeah, I appreciate
sonically that reminded me of that.
Yeah, sweet. Definitely very like much more indie vibes than
indie
just
vibe.
The weird kind of like electro-pop. It's the earlier part of the EP. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. Was that on purpose? Was that conscious? Or
I mean, I'm always like super inspired by what my friends are doing. So maybe it wasn't conscious, but I definitely was going for a more melodic. I mean, all of the stuff that I do vocals on is melodic. Like I make like hip hop and like hard rap beats, and those are the ones I send to rappers. I can't touch those.
Right.
But that one even more so was just so melodic, and like that I was like, oh, Dante would sound really good on this.
Cool.
So I sent it over, and just Oof as a whole, like I have talked to them about this. Like this is very much inspired by Sleeping Jesus, because so much of the inspiration to do it came out of making our new album, and so much of my interest in making melodic but still absolutely insane sounds came from Mike, our producer. He really introduced me to that concept and that idea, and being like, look how cool and fun this is. And so like, that got done. It just got done. So it's funny that this came out actually before the album, but like once you hear the album, maybe it'll make more sense, because it's like absolutely insane sounding, and so I was definitely inspired by that.
Cool. I love that. I mean, it's basically we are what we eat. Whatever you consume and take in, that's gonna feed what you put out. So I always find that interesting when people are, when the family tree crosses in different bands and stuff like that, and how the sound spreads.
Totally,
it's kind of cool. What about? Well, let's play it. We haven't played it yet, have we? Let's go ahead and play Cashier, so people can hear what we're talking about, and then we'll come back and talk some more. I'm here with Tyler Steinley. He just released a solo effort called Oof, and this is a tune off of it. This is Cashier featuring Doug Boodle right here on the Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Hit the laugh track. Used to never get embarrassed, but I'm back at it. I'm a maladaptive captive with a bad habit. I got 2 new friends, both catnip addicts, and I'm doing my best just to keep them fat and happy. Guess it's back to the cafe where the attractive cashier knows my name. I see her every day. Her paintings up in frames, such a perfect headspace. This is my favorite place, 'cause I can feel the flame. The cashier knows my name. The cashier knows my
Auspicious
name.
putting fishes in dishes, you're making sushi. REM messing with my head, it's ratatouille. Mincing up my words, the cycle's got me in a knot. You ask me what I'm into, I can't say that I do a lot. Got all that baggage, trash keeps piling higher. Pretending I recycle or I've seen the Eiffel Tower. Getting to the point faster than I prick my finger on. Stepping up to your hot shit, no wonder I keep spelling wrong.
The cashier knows my name. I see her every day. Her paintings up in frames, such a perfect headspace. This is my favorite place, 'cause I can feel the flame. The cashier knows my name. The cashier knows my
I'm
name.
drinking, seeing double, triple, maybe 4.
That was Cashier featuring Doug Boodle, and that's a track off of the album Oof by Tyler Steinley right here in Winona. And I've got Tyler in the studio tonight. So so let's see. Where were we? Because we were getting into something here before we played that tune.
Inspiration.
Yes, the inspiration and how sounds cross over between, band members from band to band. So before we played the track, we were kind of talking about the sound of it, and I don't, just for me personally, when I heard it, like you said, it's a little more indie, on the towards the indie side of the spectrum rather than, the electro-pop. But it's got this like retro feel to it for me,
Yeah.
and I can't pinpoint it. Like
There's a lot of the break is from a pack that in particular is like drawing inspiration from like old
like old pop
breaks and stuff. And then there's a lot of vinyl cracking on it. So
Okay,
maybe
and that-
just is
yeah,
like
yeah.
it hits that part of your brain and you're like, wow,
Right.
this sounds old.
Right. It's funny because I told Nick when I did a show on the the Sweet and Lonely stuff, and I told him his sound reminded me of like listening to records on Sunday morning. Like that was a thing when I was a kid. Sundays were record days, just like and maybe that's why. I didn't think of it until just now, but I think that's probably why, is the record crackles and stuff like that.
Yep, it's been fun kind of figuring that out and realizing that the sound of the instruments, sometimes even more so than the actual melodies and stuff, can make it sound, bring you back.
Right. Do you know, like, what else might be in that track that, the one we just heard, Cashier, that, like, creates that kind of retro feel? Are there certain specific things you did to it to...
Not really.
There,
like I don't remember the specific effects I put on everything, but I do remember that was one which you can hear it. There's like some Foley sounds, or like it's like there's like birds chirping and like it sounds like you're going on a walk, like that kind of stuff. I don't know if that contributes to the retro feel, but that's big in like lo-fi hip-hop,
right.
Like
and maybe
YouTube
that's
channels
why,
and
because that whole genre kind of makes me feel retro, so maybe
totally.
That's why.
And I'm very inspired. Yeah, I try to expand a little bit past the lo-fi boom bap, even though that's like super cool, and I can't. I've tried to replicate it a couple times and with no success, but it's just it's kind of everywhere. So it's like I try to not fall into just that pattern, I suppose.
Right, yeah. Well, I think you have there's only 6 tracks, the first and last are only a minute and minute 30 tops.
Yep.
You know, I think you have a lot of variety going on in just a short amount of time. I mean,
yeah, definitely the goal.
Yeah. I think it's a really awesome sampling. Like if you were like, this is oof, you know, boom. I think you've said a lot here.
Yeah.
I really do, man.
Thanks, man. And
really cool.
It's cool because, that's kind of the point is like I'm always kind of jumping genres. And then it's like if I like I have a friend in town that I'm sending she's an incredible singer, Shelby. She's sang with the Lavender Project.
Okay.
She sings with Sugar Lads. Like I've been sending her just if I have like kind of funky disco stuff because I thought she would be good on that. And then it's like the hard rap stuff I send to Jet and Fernando and and then the more like kind of lo-fi jazzy stuff is Phlox, like a rapper around here that just started doing stuff recently. I don't know if he's gonna put out a ton, but when we work together he's like stoked. So very nice. Well, cool. What's I know you've kind of mentioned that you just kind of go with the flow for this for Oof, but do you have anything like concrete like coming up next, or is it kind of... No, not at all. I mean, that song with Fernando, hopefully by the time this is out. Okay. But beyond that, nothing. Just kind of... Okay. Yeah, I was definitely at the point, which is cool, because with this, the no pressure, it's like I can go through phases. Right. It's like, I'll still always be like making instrumentals and stuff if I have the time, but it's like, as far as business and promotion-wise, like... a bunch of my other projects, like I've been kind of talking about, are wrapping up and stuff. And I'm working on recording some other stuff with people. So it's like that's kind of taking the precedence. Yeah. Well, and that leaves your artistic direction, I suppose, kind of open and free. Yeah, totally. You know, really, when there's no pressure like that, for sure. So yeah, next up for you is probably releases of other, like your other projects. Swashbuckler in 2 weeks. Not the 9th, the 11th, March 11th. This is March 11th on the 9th. So, hey, when you hear this in 2 days, the Swashbuckler album's out. Yes. And then, Sleepy J. We just got the masters back, Sleeping Jesus, and so that's hopefully. Yeah. Do you know when? No. And if we have some ideas, but I don't know if I can say. Right. But, I mean, this year, like it is, we're gonna get it out this year because we've been working on it for 3 freaking years. So it's about time. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to all that stuff, man, and looking forward to what else comes out of Weeds also. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. After the Swash album, which is the next Weeds release, we actually don't have anything at all on the docket, because that's very much, as I've talked about when I've been here talking about Weeds, it's kind of like when I find someone that I want to work with that is trying to put stuff out, or I do have some people around here and like friends that are like, hey, I'm trying to put this out, then I do it, but otherwise it's not like there's like content backed up, you know? Right. So once the Swash is done, that's kind of the big thing, then it's like it's kind of it for Weeds for a little bit. Right. Like, not intentional, I'm sure. You get some time. Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe the Sleeping Jesus record will be out. Yeah. And maybe you guys can go out and play. Yeah, that is the goal. Hopefully, we want to like live on the road. Right. Post summer. Right. Hopefully. Right. Well, I hope you guys get to, man. Yeah, thank you. For sure. We do have one more track, but before we go, so I know you're on Bandcamp. Anywhere else? Can we find you like Spotify and iTunes and stuff? Yeah, the Oof EP is on all streaming and stuff. Okay. The beat pack is just on Bandcamp. Just Bandcamp. Yeah. Okay. And then I put out songs. I think I might, just because, unfortunately, I mean, this is getting into business stuff, but it seems like SoundCloud is kind of on the decline. Yeah. And so I might start releasing more of my songs, just the one-offs, like with random other artists and stuff, just on Bandcamp. Cool. So I would say Bandcamp, it would be the best place to follow me if you want everything. Right. Excellent. Because, I love Bandcamp, man. Yeah, me too. It's perfect. Cool. I love it. Well, yeah, Tyler, been a pleasure talking with you about this today. I love it. Absolutely love it. Everyone out there, check out Oof. You can go to Bandcamp and follow Oof. Follow Ouids Records. I'm Ufda with 2 H's on the da. On Instagram. Okay. I mean, there's if you want to follow, like, I put a lot of like one-off videos and stuff on that. Oh, okay. Cool. I always forget about that because I'm
not young anymore.
Yep.
So I always forget about Instagram.
I am not on TikTok, but I am on Instagram. TikTok gives me panic attacks.
Yeah. Social media gives me panic attacks, to say the least. Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, pleasure talking to you. Let's go out with another tune. I've been here talking to Tyler Steinley. His latest solo effort called Oof is out now. You can find it on Bandcamp and streaming platforms, but I'd recommend following the Bandcamp because then you'll find his beat packs and all kinds of stuff that he's going to release. So this last track is called I've Been Thinking. It's the outro. So enjoy this. It's from Oof from right here in Winona, Minnesota, and you're listening to it on The Sound right here on 89.5 KQAL. Thanks again to Tyler Steinley of Oof for joining us tonight on The Sound. To hear more from Oof, check them out on Bandcamp or your favorite streaming service. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Oof on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.